Hey everybody, I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. It's March 12th. As I too quickly turned off the music before I lowered it, I'm sorry. March 12th, 2024. Thanks so much for being here today. I got my good friend Peter Paccone here. He's a social studies teacher at San Reno High School out in California. And he's going to tell you how he's working with our subject today, which is the new AP African American Studies course. And I'm going to take roll call right now because I'm missing somebody and I don't know who. So let's find out, okay? Peter, I know you're there. Are you there? Peter? Hello? Anybody there? No, Peter just dropped off for some reason. Okay. Is Tony there? No. Okay. Is Theresa there?
Yes, Teresa's
Hi,
here.
Theresa. How you doing? It's Larry here. How are you?
Hi, Larry. How are you doing? I must apologize that I'm in the midst of my African American Studies class. My students will be walking in, but I'm here.
Yeah, that's just great. I love it. That's terrific. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry to interrupt your class, for goodness sakes. Okay, so that I hope they can hear. Okay, and hi, kids. How you doing over in Newark? All right. Marsha, are you here?
Yes. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Marsha. I'm Larry Jacobs. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. And you're out in California today, right? Where are you in California?
I'm in San Diego.
Where it's always room temperature, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. And by the way, I live diagonally across the country from you in the glorious state of Maine. Okay? It's beautiful here, but don't come in the winter. It'll kill you. Okay? It's good to have you here.
All right.
Thank you for being here. Okay? Now, I got a couple of... Tony, are you here?
Yes, I'm right here. Good to be here from Oakland, California.
Yep.
First of all, I would like to congratulate Teacher of the Year, Marsha Greco. I saw that.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations, Marsha. I was going to say that a little bit later. The California 2024 Social Studies Teacher of the Year. Mazel tov. How you doing? When did you win that award? When did you win that award?
I actually just received it officially on Saturday at the California Council for the Social Studies Conference.
How impressive, and congratulations. That's just wonderful. And I want to turn my attention. By the way, I have to ask, Theresa, have you been with me before with the Horace Mann Awards?
I'm sorry. Can you say that
Theresa,
again?
did you hear me? Yeah. Have you been on my podcast before?
I have. I've had the pleasure of being on. I was one of the 2023 Horace Mann Award recipients, yes.
I knew it. Okay, congratulations on that, by the way. And I do work with the Horace Mann Awards every year. I recognized your name, remembered you, but I wanted to make sure. Okay, welcome back.
Yeah.
I got to tell you. And let me turn to my co-host for today. I'll call on that. Peter, are you there?
Oh, my gosh, I got elevated to co-host. Yes, I'm here, Larry.
Yeah,
Hi,
you're a co-host today. Okay, it's great to have you here. Thanks for putting this group together. I got to tell you, this is a powerhouse of social studies. Okay, we could take over the world, which isn't a bad idea, actually.
These are three very impressive teachers you have here today. I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it. We're going to be talking about the new AP African American Studies course. And I just want to say Peter is not African American. Tony, I believe you are. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. I'm also Black Seminole from Florida, Cape Verdean Creole. Yeah, I was born on Teixeira. Yeah, my family on my dad's side is Portuguese.
How interesting. What an interesting background. Okay. Theresa, I just want to get this clear for people because we're on radio. Theresa, African American?
Yes.
Okay.
I am Black.
Yes.
I am from Belize. I'm an immigrant from Belize, Central America, and I identify as a Black woman. Yes, I do.
Yeah, and did you guys just get a new capital city or something in Belize?
Belmopan had been it for many years, so if they have, that's the one I'm familiar with.
There was something I read. I can't remember what it was. Something about Belize. I can't remember. And Marsha, what about you? I just want to get this straight for everybody so they can understand where you're coming from. Marsh?
I am not Black. I am mixed race, Asian American, and white.
Okay, and I got to ask my three teachers, okay, Tony and it's Peter, but I'm going to ask Tony this. Tony, Peter was very late getting his prep sheet back to me, okay? But he's a teacher, and he gets mad at kids when they turn in stuff late. What should I do? Should he have them sit detention or what? Tony?
I should say he's co-host, so I know he's getting a big salary. I would cut it by.
Oh, yeah. Count on it. Count on it, Tony.
Okay, this is great, guys. I'm so glad you're all here. Okay, and I want to find out about that Capitol. There was something I just read about it. I'm almost sure there's something within the Capitol or a rebuilding or something like that. I don't remember. Peter, talk to me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, San Marino High School. We're talking about AP African American Studies, okay? And right now, your school doesn't offer this. All right.
That's right.
And I want to find out why. Just maybe they don't have anybody to teach it, but it seems you want to. I guess you want to teach it, okay? And you're tutoring. I was interested in this. You're tutoring 3 students who are waiting to take the course. One is in Asia, okay?
Yeah.
And talk. Just put that in a little bit of perspective before I get to the others. We got plenty of time today.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's a relatively small high school, so scheduling is always an issue. We're trying to create opportunity for kids to take classes, but it is an impacted schedule with that few number of students. Also, the course is only, in theory, really only 2 years old, been piloted for 2 years. So it's just coming onto our radar screen, and we'd like to have it. I know there's interest. I know there are other teachers. I've talked to them who expressed an interest in teaching it. If we can't bring it into the 8:30 to 3 o'clock, that's the schedule here in California, that we're going to, I'm actually sitting down with the principal tomorrow morning before school, and one of the things I plan to discuss is, can we at least explore that possibility of moving it to the afternoon, 2 nights, 2 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays,
cool,
to an hour, 2 hours, and we've done that before with other classes, so. It's not like it would be unusual. And then as far as the tutoring is concerned, over the years, it's just happened. I mean, I have people reaching out all the time to ask me to help them prep for the various AP Social Studies courses, and this year that happened. And so the interesting thing is the 3 are all Asian. I mean, one is from Asia. It's from Southeast China. Yeah,
cool.
From Guangzhou. Yeah.
How did he find out about you? Or how did you find out about him? I just got to ask that before we move on.
No, it's just happened. They find out about me.
Okay,
Probably
Peter, it doesn't just happen. Believe me. Nobody from Southeast China has called me or Tony for a long time, right, Tony?
Never.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, it doesn't just happen, Peter. Okay, it's not coincidence. Okay,
maybe I have an agent that takes care of that business for me.
It's fantastic, really something. Tony, tell us, and we're going to get to everybody here. Tony, tell us about what you wrote here. The home of Apple computers. You were at Homestead High School. How long are you teaching AP African American Studies, which is great for the kids? And tell us about your school, the demographics, etc. Your kids, all that stuff. Tony.
Okay, so I started teaching in 1980 at Homestead High School in Cupertino. I was head football coach, PE coach at that point. And I think Stephen Wozniak had graduated 2 years prior, and 4 years before him, Steve Jobs. So in Cupertino, that's sort of the foundation of the industry. And they used to always tell these stories about how poorly both of those guys, both of the Steves performed in class, but how creative they were, so that's where I started. Demographics of Oakland, of course, have shifted because of gentrification. When I first started teaching in 1986, Oakland was about 86% African American, about 80% African American. Now, of course, it's probably about 20%. The demographics of Bishop O'Dowd High School basically reflect the state of California. Very diverse, probably about 20% African American, about 60%, white identified, and, a mixture, largely of Latinos from Mexico
But who's taking African American studies? Who's taking African American studies over there? Mostly black kids? I didn't officially vote out, by the way. Yeah. You had,
Yes. Currently, I've got about 68 students, probably about 80% African Americans. The others are mixed. And I've been teaching black studies or African American studies at O'Dowd for about 31 years. The last 2 advanced placement African American studies.
31 years, man. That's all. Congratulations, I got to tell you. All right? I got to tell you all the story. Back when I was teaching 1970, okay, it was almost an all-white school, but there were a couple of black kids. And back then, I just graduated college. And back then, a couple of black kids came up and asked me if I would teach. This is at the very, very beginning of all this, African-American history. And I told them, and I meant it, I said I would love to, but I don't know anything about it. Okay? It was never even mentioned in college. Okay? And it was just, it's ridiculous when you got to change the perspective of all this, and that's what I hope we're doing. And Tony, I'm glad 20% of the kids taking this course are not African American. I'm glad for the kids who are, but I want everybody to understand how important this is, okay, in American history. All right, and it's, being the old history teacher, okay, it's something that's really important. How are you doing with this, Theresa? Okay, who, by the way, is the 2022 New Jersey State Teacher of the Year, 2023 Horace Mann Award winner for teaching excellence, and probably Secretary of Education in 2024.
No,
right, Theresa?
not yet.
Don't take the job.
No, not
don't
yet.
Take the job yet.
Secretary of Education. No, not yet. So I'm here in East Orange. I know earlier you may have mentioned Newark. We're right outside of Newark.
I know, it's a Newark area code. That's why I said it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I've been teaching for 42 years, 36 years in the East Orange School District. In the past, I have taught ethnic studies and an African American history course, along with the traditional AP U.S. history, AP government, et cetera. So I was very excited when the opportunity came to participate in the Pilot 2 program of the AP African American Studies. My student population is 99% people of color. I teach at a STEM school, and currently my AP scholars consist of 11 young female scholars and 1 male scholar, and we all identify as black or brown.
And by the way, you have lost your Belizean accent. You are 100% Jersey. I hate to tell you. I'm from Philly.
Oh, I know. Well, I've been here since 5 years old, so that does happen.
Okay, so that's 20 years now you've been there. See.
You're welcome.
In the United States, welcome.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
I know. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Larry.
Okay, talk to me about this course. And Theresa, there was a lot of controversy about this. You guys all know this. Florida, they were going nuts. Okay, African American Studies AP, everybody's going crazy. Okay, how's it working out in New Jersey?
I can give you 2 perspectives. Yes,
give me all the perspectives you want. I'm going to ask each of you this, including Marsha next. Yeah.
Right. I teach in an urban school district, and I am very proud that my school district, we understand who our community is. We understand who our audience is, and we have always infused within our social studies curriculum an African American perspective, and actually try to infuse other voices into the curriculum, not just the traditional European perspective. So for us in East Orange, there is no pushback on having this course. However, I teach in a suburban district, predominantly white. I'm sorry, not teach, but I live in a suburban district, predominantly white. And in that district, there has been a lot of noise, especially during Board of Education election time, about teaching CRT and pushing, a woke agenda. And that's in New Jersey. Yeah. So in New Jersey, you have different districts who come at it where some teachers are being asked to show ahead of time the material being used in the classes, and having the board members and some community members challenge what you're using. So I'm happy that where I work, that's not something that I have to deal with. And my students relish this opportunity to learn about their history.
I'm sure they do, and I know you do a great job at it. And I have to, since you brought up CRT, critical race theory, okay? The boot, so to speak, the boogeyman out there to everybody, to half the world, whatever it is. Okay, and you teach the African American Studies course, AP. Can you relate the two? Okay, does one have anything to do with the other? Don't think I know the answer. We got to get out of this political mold. Yeah.
Yes. For me, I always say the CRT that I respect and do participate in is culturally relevant teaching. Right. We are not pushing critical race theory. I mean, not at all. Not with this course. And so I think it weakens the value of what we're trying to do if we get pulled into that vortex of having to defend it against critical race theory.
There's nothing to defend. Okay, this is good stuff. Okay, that's good stuff. And I'll say it's important for people to understand their own background, their own history. That's really important, a sense of pride, a sense of understanding, knowing where your relatives are. But it's also important, and we can talk about this, that people of other races, etc., understand that perspective. They understand the perspective and know the part everybody played. To me, it's pretty obvious, but I'm an old social studies teacher. Marsha, what's going on with you? Are you teaching AP? African American? Marsha Greco, the one and only, the brand new California 2024 Social Studies Teacher of the Year. Again, congratulations. That's great. Okay? Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I've been teaching AP African American Studies for both years in the pilot. My school, which is the Proy School, UC San Diego, we are a 6 through 12 charter school that we're technically part of UC San Diego, but, we're our own entity in a lot of ways. And this school is specifically for low-income students who will be in the first generation in their families to obtain a college degree in the United States. So the vast majority of our school does fit that those characteristics. We have 100% free and reduced lunch. Also, 99% students of color. And we've also had this multicultural focus in our social studies curriculum, especially at the high school level. And about 7 years ago, our 9th grade Western Civilizations course became ethnic studies. And my colleagues developed an ethnic studies course from the ground up. And then when we were invited to be part of the pilot for AP African American Studies, we thought it fit perfectly with that scope and sequence that we already had going on. And our school is an AP for all school. So all of our students in 10th grade were already taking AP European history. And we had gotten feedback from many of our families saying that, they felt like European history was interesting, but it didn't really represent them. And they were asking, well, when are we going to get something that's more reflective of who we are? So we figured that would be a great replacement for European history. So we replaced AP European history with AP African American Studies. And so I have 120 students. I teach all of the 10th grade students. I have 4 sections, and it's been a really great experience.
How'd you learn how to teach it so well, so quick?
Well, I do have a U.S. history background. I've been teaching since 2009. I've always taught different levels of U.S. history. I also teach AP U.S. history, and, I've taken various courses and professional developments that focus on various aspects of Black history. And I have personally, learned a lot from teaching the course. Kind of a lot of the world history aspects of it I've had to brush up on, but I, do have a background in U.S. history, so it was easy transition for me.
Yeah, and I'm so glad your community recognized that, quote, Western Civ, okay, interesting as it is, I used to teach it, okay, it's that does not have a lot to offer kids. They should know it, but it doesn't have a lot to offer about themselves for African-American kids, Latino kids, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, well, Latino kids,
right.
okay, there's a lot of stuff. It's so timely to make the change, and I'm so glad you did. How do the kids like it? How do the customers like it? Yeah, why? Why do they like it so much more? Are they doing better? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. One interesting thing is that we have about 20% of our students that identify as African American, and actually a lot of those students are African, where they themselves or their families are from primarily parts of East Africa, and so, you know, having an African focus in AP African American Studies has been really transformational for them. And also we have, you know, different students of color, and I think that they can really identify with a lot of the discussions that we have about identity and race relations in the United States and throughout the world. So, you know, I think that they can see a lot of these things play out in broader society, but even within themselves. You know, a sense of belonging, you know, who I am, who am I, how do I define myself?
Exactly.
And that really resonates with them. And, I think it's just been an interesting look for them, and especially coming out of ethnic studies where they have learned a lot of these concepts already, doing a deeper dive into the African-American experience has, you know, just enhanced their understanding.
Yeah, how was it? How was it changed? Teaching this course, how was it changed? Did you see a change in them? Perhaps a sense of pride, or I don't know, maybe an engagement. I'm just. What do you see? The good benefits besides just the academic side of the course?
Yeah, I think, you know, they have a little bit more confidence to engage in discussing, you know, what we might consider hard history or complex issues in society. You know, and I even see this at the 11th grade level. So having taught the 10th graders last year, and now I have them in 11th grade, and talking with my colleague who also teaches AP US history, you know, we're just able to have deeper discussions. They're able to wrestle with tough issues. They're able to, you know, look critically at a variety of sources, and just their overall critical thinking skills and reading skills have improved because this course is grounded in primary source analysis. They're able to, you know, really develop those skills of analysis and argumentation.
Well, that's great. Tony, what are your thoughts on this course? You're piloting, so however you say that word, piloting. Okay, what do you think?
Yeah. So, you know, I was part of the original 60 back in D.C., and it was, you know, so the foundation of the course for me, the AP course, you know, comes from that, you know, sort of that perspective. You know, we were all at the same hotel. It's called the Hotel Zena. And it's interesting thing about this hotel is it's located right on the interchange. It was actually developed by Benjamin Banneker back in the 18th century.
Really?
So yes. And it's the Hotel Zena. It's named after, you know, these African Amazonian warriors. So they have these big pictures of these warriors on the outside. Go in. Wow. There's about a 20-foot by 20-foot mural of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, made with painted bullets, right, and painted tampons. And the whole thing is designed by women. But the intentionality of this course was peaks. a real deep understanding of African American studies. Now, in terms of my history with the course, I think I might be a little bit older than the other guests because I was born in the 50s. So, my first teaching of African American studies comes from my mother, because she used to wake us up.
By the way, you're older than our female guest, but I know our male guest is an exceptionally old gentleman.
Okay, good. That makes me feel better.
Right, Peter?
I appreciate that. Yes.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah. Okay. This is really cool.
Right.
I'm looking up Hotel Zena, as you said, it's Zena.
Yeah.
You said it's pretty cool. Really?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going anyway. Yeah.
Very interesting. But so my mother used to wake us up singing Nina Simone, Young, Gifted, and Black, back in the 60s. So our perspective is different. My aunties, they all went to HBCUs in Florida. I went to in elementary school. I went to the Black Panther breakfast program where I first started to learn African American studies. So I've been deeply grounded in African American studies and history ever since then. I took courses with Dr. Nathan Hare, Mulana Ron Karanga, and Harry Edwards between San Jose State and San Francisco State. So I've been, in it for a long time. So my perspective,
you have been,
is of the, sort of the foundation, of African American studies. The class has been very, it's been very popular up at the school. Next year we're going to have about between 100 and 105 students, and they are very interested and excited in the curriculum. Not only
let me stop you. Why are they? I'm going to ask. Why are they so interested and excited? Just another course in high school.
Well,
what's doing that?
I'd say
might be the teacher.
One of the main reasons is the history of Oakland itself, right? So if you look at Oakland. Oakland was the sort of the end of the Second Great Migration at West Oakland train station. Was where A. Philip Randolph comes, who is Martin Luther King's mentor, right? So that was the location sort of the home base of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, which was the largest black union. History. But it was also the union, A. Philip Randolph, who came up with the idea of the Civil Rights March on Washington that was later adopted by Martin Luther King. When Malcolm X was a sleeping car porter, he would regularly travel to Oakland. Right in 1964, he would make very famous. Yes.
Yeah,
and he would make this address at McClymonds High School in West Oakland in '64, the year that he was assassinated, where Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton would attend it as students at Oakland City College. Right, and so they got the idea for the Sons of Malcolm, which would later become the Black Panthers, from attending that.
History lesson here. Go ahead.
Yeah, Oakland has this history. Paul Robeson, there are 3 military bases in Oakland, back in the 1940s after the attack on Pearl Harbor. And Paul Robeson makes this very famous address at the Moore Dry Dock, where he pushes for integration, right, in the nation's military. If you look up Paul Robeson, Oakland, you'll see that picture.
That's cool.
Right, he's standing in front of these shipyard workers. So
that's
Oakland
cool.
has always
never knew that part of Paul Robeson.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, there's very deep history in.
Point being,
Black.
So point being, okay, that Oakland's so steeped in African American history, a lot of the kids didn't have the opportunity to know this. Yet they're there.
Exactly.
And, and it reminds me, I have to say, I watched 60 Minutes maybe a year ago, about Tulsa in 1919. They had a follow-up.
Yeah.
Kids who went through, black kids, all the kids who went through Tulsa public schools never knew that riot happened. They didn't even know it happened. Okay?
Right.
This is Tulsa, the Tulsa riot. and they didn't know what happened. Okay,
right.
so
and
talk
that's
about
why
the
Black studies is important.
Yeah, it is important because they get, and it helps the kids understand the community, build strength in the community. They're not some outsiders looking in. Okay, it's their community, and they get to say it's really cool when you start to think of the, so to speak, layers of the onion. That the impact that this has. It's just so darn important. So really, really cool. I'm going to go over to Peter. Hi, Peter. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Buddy.
Hello.
Hey.
Peter, you wanted me to ask this, and I know you love this. Artificial intelligence, AI, you're in California, okay? Peter, in fact, might actually be an actual avatar, a hologram of some sort. They're still working on that. Okay, Peter, when you hear AI, okay, how's it going to be used in this course? What do you think? Or how are you using it?
Yeah, that question can be answered this way. So prior to this school year, College Board had a no AI use policy, and then this past summer they created a committee. Tony was on it. I was on advising on what should be that use, and they basically had three ways they could go. One would be continue the policy, no use. Another would be to allow some use and then place the teacher in a position of checking that. And the third way to go would be to allow complete and absolute use, take whatever work is produced, pop it into a computer, and have it create follow-up questions that the students then on test day, lockdown browser installed, would have an opportunity to answer. So that we're really looking for authentic voices. So there were three ways that they could go, and I had put those obviously the AI usage, those two before them, and predictably, they took the middle ground here at this early stage. So right now in AP African American Studies, the policy, the rule is that the students can use the AI. There's the project they have to do, and Tony and the others can detail you on it. But there's a project. They can use it up to a certain point. The teacher then verifies that the student, in essence, can own what they have learned, meaning that it's not just copying and pasting and not really fundamentally understand what they're learning. And that's it. And they move on and they submit that final work for some 10% of the overall score, overall AP score, at the end of the year. That's where we are with it right now, and it's also where we are with it in the seminar course. And now the question is, well, what about next year and the year after, and where do we go with that? And, those are the interesting questions. But right now,
well, the interesting questions. But I got big news. I can answer one of them. AI is here to stay.
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
However it works out, it's here to stay. You don't put the genie back in the bottle. Okay, it's here to stay. Okay.
No, you can't. And as I'm learning, the kids all over the world are using it. And so if we don't, then we do run a serious risk of having our kids fall behind if, in fact, this thing can be shown.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And believe it, and amazingly, there'll be something beyond AI in 10 years or whatever the case may be. And the same argument will happen again. All right? And we got to get the kids used to using all the technology they can, because that's the way of the world. That's what their job is going to be. Okay? That's what's going to be out there. All right, so we got to do something about this. Peter, I just want to ask you, and I want to go back to everybody else. You've been dealing with just a few kids. What has been their reaction to this so far? Have they been like, even the kid in China?
The kids I tutor, number one, they're looking to get ahead. They're looking to take as many APs as possible, so they're motivated.
That's cool.
But what Marsha was pointing out earlier, and I think Tony, you might have mentioned, I don't recall, but in the AP U.S. history class, if you take a real close look at what College Board wants taught, there's a considerable amount of information that students need relating to the history of African Americans. And what I have found, I haven't done any polling, but my gut is telling me that that the Asians and Chinese in particular find that history particularly interesting. That's been my sense. And why that's the case, well, obviously I could speculate, but I'm not really sure. I have some thoughts about it. But I'm really surprised at the extent to which Chinese students will appear to be interested in that particular bit of history and then ask me really cool questions. Like I'd like to just share one with you. You know, it just came up the other day. You know, this whole thing about women working in factories, and the first one being the Lowell Mills factory. And so one of my students just said, well, I wonder who the first African American female was. To which we contacted the National Park Service. National Park Service comes back and goes, hey, that's a great question. We never even thought about it. National Park Service oversees the Lowell Mills, and they referred us to somebody else, and that's where it is right now. But all of that was instigated by a Chinese student, and that's not unusual. And why that's happening, I don't know, but that seems to be.
That's pretty cool. And you're talking about Lowell Mills in Massachusetts, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I've been there. It's that Lowell, Massachusetts has really made a comeback. And the downtown where the mills are, the national parks, are absolutely incredible. Okay, and they still have the machinery working. It's really cool. I live about an hour and a half from there. Okay, so
good. It's because I want to see it this summer. But the interesting thing about Lowell Mills is
we're close. I hope you, Carolyn and I would love to have you to see you. You're out way east. Okay. Just so you know.
I'd love to see both of you. Yeah. The Lowell Mills has made this reputation on not just the mills, but how open it was to women coming in and working, and then,
that's right.
You know, by suggestion, diversity. They claim, you know, we were very, very diverse, and yet they have no evidence. And why not? Why or is there evidence? I mean, was there never ever an African American female that worked at those mills? That's just. And I think it's a great historical question, and it came from one. And not even, and it's student at that. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just so, again, layers of the onion. It just never ends. But Therese, what's been your most exciting thing? I don't know if the kids can hear me, but when you think back on teaching this course this year, A, is it working out? And B, what's been your most fun, memorable moment, so to speak? Well, as you taught this in this pilot program.
Yeah, it's working out very well. Yes, it is Teresa. It's working out really well. And I think that in conversation with my students, while I was listening, I was asking them when I was on mute about what it is about this course that means so much to them. And I'm sure she won't mind me using her name. Aisha said that it's learning, that she loves kind of breaking through the misconceptions that they have been presented in the past and just learning about a bigger, broader understanding of the role and contributions of African Americans. For example, when we studied the African kingdoms, I think that in our school we have taught about Mansa Musa, but they like to learn that there was a global presence from Africans to trade with Asia, for example. And they love learning. We just discussed the Haitian Revolution, and some of my students are Haitian, and I do have students also from the continent of Africa that are currently in my class.
Yeah,
and
they got problems right now.
Of course, we know Toussaint Louverture, and of course we have a school that was named after him, but they loved looking at the information directly from the primary source about the Constitution that was created, and learning about Dessalines, and learning also about people like the Maroon societies. Like, these are things that they had not been exposed to, and also a local perspective. You know that Tony talked about Oakland, and I'm outside of Newark, and Newark has the Black Arts Movement with Amiri Baraka that we had. Newark also hosted one of the Black political conferences that was like a precursor to the Gary model, the Gary Convention in 1972. So connecting the past to their local history, I think, is one of my favorite aspects of this course, and also access to the resources, the primary sources, because you can't dispute what's in the primary sources. We're not pushing an agenda. We're helping the students to uncover those sources and to be able to interrogate them and interpret them.
And you just made the perfect point. One of our goals is to teach these kids understanding media, and interpret and critical thinking. And it's going to be a hell of a lot more engaging, if you're doing it about something that you can relate to. All right, that's just the key. And when you've got I believe a large African American population in your school, you want these kids to be engaged. It's a lot more fun than looking up Mary Todd Lincoln's ancestry. Okay, it matters to them. All right, and the whole point of it is engagement and critical thinking. And when you can get the kids excited about themselves and look at mirrors like Ancestry.com. Oh, my God, look at this. It's like the show with Henry Louis Gates with the Roots on TV, okay, Finding Your Roots. Okay, it's so engaging when you can see it for yourself. You can see it in the faces of the people that he's working with. I mean, it's just absolutely, it's incredible. Marsha, what are your thoughts on this, with all this? Do you see AI coming in? Let me ask you that one first. San Diego, Marsha, California, it's where it's happening.
Well, I was actually talking with Peter about this over the weekend because we were at the same conference. And so, with the project, I mean, the project is great. I don't know if we've talked specifically about it, but basically, students are able to research anything that they want to that has to do with African American studies, and, they have to make an argument that is then supported by 4 different sources and talk about, the differences between what the sources say and also, how it supports their claim. And that's a very difficult skill for students to do, on their own. The teacher's not supposed to be helping them. And so it's inevitable that students are going to be using AI. And personally, I thought Peter's idea of having, personalized test questions based off of their research that they're supposed to know, I thought that was a really great sort of balance.
Like a PhD dissertation.
Exactly. And they do have to do an oral defense, when they have to present the project, and the teacher grades the presentation, the content of the presentation, how well they, supported their argument, and then they do have to do an oral defense, but, it's not really, the same as maybe writing out their explanations and being a little bit more specific after the fact. So I thought that was an interesting idea.
It is.
But, I mean,
stick with Peter. He's got a lot of good ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, College Board is going to give us a little bit more information about, the AI, details and how all that's going to work out. They have a monthly office hours, and they're going to be discussing that at this month's office hours next week. So we're going to hear more about what they have to say in a little bit. But, like you said, it's the future. I have a friend who works in AI software development, and he said this is the way of the working world. You have to know how to use AI. So as a classroom teacher, it's hard because you want your students to do original work, but at the same time, I think it's still going to be original becoming work. A tool.
It's just going to be in a different format. Okay?
Right.
They're going to learn how to make it original work. It's not like and I think Peter made it's not like they're stealing stuff. Okay, we already have that. We have the web. I'm going to do a report on Hotel Xena. I can look up the Hotel Xena and just copy it off the web. Okay, but that's not what we're looking for. And it's the same thing with AI. They're going to use it and then make something new out of it. And that, whatever that is, it's going to happen. I want to ask you one other thing. The AP African American course. I'm going to ask each of this as we wind down here. This is an AP African American course. It's the pilot. What's the new thing that the kids learned? What was in it that was different from before? One thing. Marsha.
You mean different from previous, other courses
when they all
that they've had?
And said, really? This happened? Whatever. What all of a sudden light went off? Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of what Theresa was talking about with, misconceptions about Africa and about different aspects of African American history, and just, I think that there's so many gaps it's hard to kind of condense in just,
a
couple sentences.
History. It's like they don't have a history. There's no history.
Right.
Kaboom.
Right.
Yes, started in 1619.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
so just the misconceptions about Africa, the concept that Africa did not have an important role on the world stage. I mean, that notion is just completely dispelled by Unit 1, which focuses on, this vast array of African civilizations that were so powerful that they attracted European interests. In various ways. And then also just other, one thing that just sort of pops into my mind, out here in California, we have one HBCU, and it's like a private school. Nobody knows about it. And
what is it? What is it? I don't even know. What is it?
I don't know the name, but there's only one listed. And here at my school, our focus is to send students to college. And HBCUs aren't even on our students' radars. And HBCUs, do not just
California, right.
cater, and they don't just, serve students who identify as Black. They also have really great financial assistance. And so, just having our students learn about that as an option, but also, the concept of going to a institution of higher education where you feel like you belong, and that will support you. That was an important takeaway from learning about HBCUs. And then also we have members of our staff who either attended an HBCU or they were part of, one of the Greek organizations, and just having them learn about that and have them, connect to those concepts of thinking about college and what do I want out of college, and sort of having it relate to them on that level, but also just learning about those concepts, because that, here in California, we don't have a local HBCU or any of that. So just having them learn about that aspect. So that's just one small example of a gap.
That's a great point. Okay, they didn't even know it was there. It's incredible, right? They can make themselves welcome wherever they go, but it is extremely important for them to understand that such places exist. That's interesting. Only one in California. I'm surprised there's only one, but I'm surprised there's even one there. So that just blew off my top of my head there. I can believe that's really something. Okay, Theresa, the great light bulb went off when? Theresa,
I think the light bulb went off when my students were able to read and discover the voices of Black women in history. People besides Harriet Tubman, besides Sojourner Truth. They encountered Maria Stewart. They encountered some of the writings that were done. Phyllis Wheatley, actually looking at and analyzing the poetry of Phyllis Wheatley. But also I think they truly appreciated knowing that there were different perspectives and voices within the Black leadership. One of our favorite activities was where we had students who were Henry Highland Garnett or Martin Delaney or David Walker or Frederick Douglass, and they kind of looked at their positions on immigration and colonization, and they could recognize that we are a diverse people with different perspectives, and we don't all have to think alike on issues. So that's one of the great values, discovering the women and their presence in this course, and discovering the leadership perspectives throughout the centuries here in the United States.
That's a wonderful point. Thank you for that, Tony. When did your kids, the light bulbs go off? And by the way, Tony, I bet you know the name of that college, HBCU in California.
Yeah, so it's not forgot the name of it, but it's not a traditional HBCU with the history and everything, but it is an HBCU. Yes. So I would say, when they started to understand the depth and breadth of African history first and African American history.
That's cool.
And that it preceded, African history precedes Western studies by thousands of years.
Yeah, it does, without question.
Thousands of years. In fact, the foundation of of Western history is actually Kemet or Egypt. Now, when Theresa was talking about Mansa Musa, one of the things that really excited the kids is we replicated his brother's transatlantic voyage. So when Marsha was talking about this global reach of the Mali Empire, there was a belief that Abu Bakr II traveled to the Americas as well, and so we actually took a boat. This program called Project Sea Valor. So we got out on the bay and we took a yacht and actually did some wind readings and some current studies to find out how long it would take to get from Mali to South America. And so what the captain's name is Eric Jones. He's one of the heroes from 9/11. So he was given this money, and so he's got this huge fleet of boats that he dedicates to studying essentially history and helping people with post-traumatic stress. He said that there's a canary current that goes from Mali to Brazil, and it moves 20 meters every 3 seconds. So the kids calculated the time that it would have taken Abu Bakr II, who was funded by Mansa Musa, to make this journey, and he said it could be done in 40 days. And so we do a lot of experiential things like that. We
that's pretty cool.
Redlining and gentrification field trip yesterday, called it in Pongi, where they study the effects of the wealth gap on Black America, and they actually come up with the reasons behind the wealth gap and solutions. So that's what we spent all day yesterday doing. So we apply this source material from these readers to everyday life, and it
good stuff,
really,
man.
Lives the kids and makes them interesting.
Keep those kids engaged. We got to go in just a couple of minutes. Thank you, Tony. Peter, sum it up.
There are 3 light bulb moments in my opinion.
2 minutes.
First
Sum it up. Yeah,
I can do it in 1 minute. The first one is when students become aware that the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were promises made to African Americans, but were broken in the years thereafter. The second light bulb moment when they realized the civil rights movement was an attempt to get those promises fulfilled, and the third light bulb moment is
100 years later. 100 years later.
Exactly. When they realized post George Floyd that there's a legitimate discussion going on in the country whether those promises are still not yet fulfilled, and if not, what really needs to be done, especially say in terms of affirmative action and subjects like that.
Yeah, the world's changing, hopefully for the better. You guys are the best, okay? I know you're having a great time teaching this stuff, and your kids are lucky to I'm going to say it this way. Your kids are lucky to have you, Theresa and Marsha and Tony and Peter, of course. I mean, it's just... You guys are just doing a great job out there, and everybody appreciates it. So keep up the good work. So I'll just say thank you, Marsha.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you are welcome. Theresa, thank you for being here again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me back. It was a pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Tony, it's great to meet you. Thank you. Okay?
Peace and blessings.
Okay? Thank you, my friend. And my friend Peter, if you get out in the summer, you make sure you let us know, okay? We're not that far from Lowell.
We're coming.
Okay?
Thank you, Larry.
Okay, good. You know where we are, okay?
Teresa.
And by the way, that goes to all of you. But my wife Carolyn is the one who introduced me to Peter. So I just want you to know we're here in New England, okay? Thanks, guys, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Bye-bye. Wonderful teachers, everybody. Wonderful educators. Good course, and it's an eye-opener for everybody. So cool. All right, we're going to archive over at a-n.org. I got to go. I'm Larry Jacobs. Thanks for listening.